back to the podcast, everybody. I'm truly excited and honored to have this conversation today with Rare Scrilla. He is one of the OGs in the NFT space, one of the pioneers of the crypto art movement, the creator of DJ Pepe, the creator of a dank art, and a DJ producer. And if I sat here and read off all of his credentials, it'd probably go till the end of the podcast. So we'll get the conversation underway. So Rare, thank you for coming on, man. Truly excited for this conversation.
What's up, Jake? Thanks for having me. Yeah, let's get to it.
Yeah, buddy, dude.
Appreciate the intro.
Yeah, no problem, bro. We could do it for days. Yeah, I'm excited, man. I've been in the historical NFT space. I've been trying to help build this out. Obviously, I've been in my first historical NFT purchase was Mooncats last year. I've started putting work out about just the history of NFTs. Obviously, Rare Pepes have been around since 2016. They're the pioneers. There's only a few projects that even predate it, and you were there since the very beginning. And over the last few weeks, Fake Rares has taken a lot of spotlight, which you've been there since the beginning and helped pioneered it. And it's kind of showed this cool collaboration between the history of Pepe and the history of crypto art, and then bringing in some of these like newer artists and bringing this cool like unified movement. So I guess we could just start with Fake Rares because this is kind of like the hot item right now within the world of Pepe's and yourself. Can just tell us a little bit about like how Rare or Fake Rares came to be, and your involvement with the project.
Sure. Fake Rares started on September 21st as kind of like a gag. I got booted or muted. I don't know I think I was muted first in the Rare Pepe chat. I shared a meme that I made a long time ago, and I kind of just rediscovered it in my XCP wallet, like just forgot about it. And I knew you weren't allowed to share, you're allowed to share memes in there, but I was like, next like 10 people, drop your address and I'll send this to you. And I knew I was breaking the rules, and nobody's above Rare Pepe rules in the Rare Pepe chat. It's kind of like a funny but strict thing. And so, yeah, I kind of had a feeling I might get like a warning, or, somebody might say something to me, but I like, all of a sudden I just got like put on mute. It was the Freedom Cat card I dropped, and I got put on mute, and I can't describe it. I was having, sometimes it's like the energy in the air, the way things happen just happen. I was definitely like on a higher level that day. Like when that happened, I just remember being like immediately ignited that this was my chance to flip the narrative and start a kind of an XCP platform of Pepe's that we've been missing. And I've been brainstorming with some other artists for months. And I mean, I've said this before, like even going back to 2020, like Crypto Graffiti and me had been speaking about launching like the Rare Pepe movement back again on BTC. And he wasn't even a part of that, but he was an advocate he was seeing all the NFT stuff start to go. And I think he wanted to see Bitcoin win too. So anyway, we just went kind of, at that point, I just remember like I went and told another trader, collector guy that I know, and I was like, look, just tell everybody who shares the Freedom Kek in the Rare Pepe chat, I'll send them a free one, and like a proof of ban card, we'll call it. So like a number of people started just like spamming the chat with Freedom Keks, and I started another Telegram group, and I hit up a bunch of people like in the scene that weren't in like the Pepes. So like I remember I hit up like Jake the DJen and Coldy and Robness, and Robness was part of it, but he wasn't really too active. And then I hit up all the Rare Pepe guys, and I hit up some collectors and just a bunch of XCP people I knew. And all of a sudden, I mean, at least probably 100 people filtered in really quick, if not more. And within like, can't remember exactly all the timetable from there, but it went pretty quick where like, it's like, well, this is the Fake Rare chat, and we're gonna just start a directory, and I don't know how we're gonna do this, but I started kind of coming up with like rules and asking the community a little bit like what they wanted, and kind of made it a thing. And then we put together, I don't think it was the same day, maybe the day after, to put together the community card. I think we might have started sharing it in the chat, where I just like started a card. I was like, everybody just start adding to it. And I think we had like, 20 some artists contribute to that card. And then we just dropped that card to everybody. The first like 100 XCP addresses, like got all the called fake ASF. And that kind of had an idea for a while to make like a deflationary directory. So that card's card number 1 of series 1. And, you destroy that card to get a new card in. It's like Pepe Cash, it was more like a currency type thing. And this is more like just a rare, it makes the first card rarer, you know what I mean? And I got that idea actually from, what was it called? Template.wtf, which launched over the summer on Ethereum and was a total bust. But me and a couple of people had like, kind of thought that was a cool idea. And, but then they got some like bogus stuff happened and whatever. I was like, all right, well, we're going to take that method kind of and just do it with fake ASF. And that's how it was born.
Yeah, it's really brought a lot of attention back to rare Pepes, especially the Series 8. I saw a lot of movement of people going back to Series 1 of rare Pepes and starting to collect them. But you do see some of these new fake rare cards selling for 2, 3, 4 ETH and even getting more attention than rare Pepes. Do you see fake rares as kind of like a companion piece to the rare Pepes, or has this growth or birth of fake rares cause any contention between the OG rare Pepe community and the fake rares?
At first, there was a little bit of pushback from some of the OGs that didn't understand what I was doing, I think, or what we were doing. Pretty much everybody's come on board since then, with a couple stragglers, a couple people that totally, like, they hate me. They want to, they send me death threats almost daily. So I had to deal with those people, but they're fun. Like I always say, like, the fake rares wouldn't be nothing without the haters. It's kind of good to have those people around. And this is the thing, man. I'm one of the biggest creators and collectors of rare Pepe. Like, I love rare Pepes. Like, I know that rare Pepes is the big bang of the collector creator economy for tokenized art. That's 100%. There's no question in my mind. There's no doubt. So what this does is it does bring attention to rare Pepes, of course, but it also brings attention to the XCP ecosystem. It helps since the last year that we started. I mean, there's a whole development communities open up. People have poured money into building stuff. There's a lot of stuff happening. It's a blessing, I think, to have more stuff on XCP than not have it on. And rare Pepes, I've always said this since I was in the rare Pepe chat, is that they have to live on Bitcoin, because memes, and specifically Wojaks, Pepes, and even like, those two especially, let's just say, those two memes to me like have to live on Bitcoin, because they're like the most used memes. And I'm talking Pepe specifically, let's say, like that's the most used meme ever, one everybody recognizes, and it's for a reason everybody uses it. We can get into that later, but I mean, Pepe has to be uncensorable, which Ethereum is not. Tezos is not. Any proof of stake is not. This is a place where Pepes and Bitcoin have so many parallels, where, for Satoshi and Bitcoin, Satoshi kind of walked away from it, and Bitcoin bootstrapped the community, organic, no marketing, etc. In Bitcoin, or rare Pepe, Matt started a Pepe, the internet took it, made it rare, all types of, again, no leader in that, and it just kind of grew, no marketing or like VC push or anything like that. And Pepe becomes the digital meme or medium for expression in the digital age. And I think it's going to go down in history as such. And that's kind of what I'm spending my life like making frogs for the past 5 or 6 years. it didn't hit me right away in 2016, like that's what it was going to be. But I know I found myself immediately engrossed in this community. And I grew a beard down to my, down to my titties. I grew an afro. Like I was just drawing frogs for like a year straight and just studying like XCP and crypto art. I mean, I started a podcast on crypto art, I think before anybody, back in, um, with Cynthia Gayton back in like March 2017. We couldn't even find people to interview. There was there was nobody. And yeah, that just became like, I kind of thought that this would be like where, I knew that this was going to be something. I didn't know that it was going to happen this fast and this crazy though, like for real.
Yeah, right. So I just pulled up your podcast, your first episode, March 17th, 2017, with Adam Levine, who is one of the pioneers on Counterparty and Doge Party. And you can see here a bunch of legends, Joe Looney and Theo
But you
Goodman.
see like around like episode like 6, Creative Chain was like a thing back then, but it's like around 6, 7, and go up to 8. Yeah, like those 3 episodes, we were kind of like, we didn't have too many people like who we were gonna interview. And then finally the Rare Art Festival happened in between 8 and 9, and then we met everybody in the scene in New York, and that's when you see like the podcast take off from there.
Yeah, that Rare AF festival, I've watched some of the speeches, and you had you guys there and the Curio Card team, and I believe Larva Labs, and it's quite cool to see the Data peeps, and to see this growth is it's quite fascinating. But you're in there since the beginning, and you've been building. And so here I pulled up some of your cards. It's right here for those who are just listening. The rare Scrilla, there's 36 cards in the original Rare Pepe collection. To collect all of them as of today would cost you about $1.5 million. Like what a crazy feat for you to possess.
Yeah, there's actually more than 36 cards, because that only lists cards that I'm solo on. It doesn't count collaborations or anything like that, which is probably another 10 or 15.
Interesting. So here, let me ask you this then. As we were going back a little bit to the frogs living on the Bitcoin blockchain, there's this right now. It seems like the hot topic of Bitcoin specifically isn't actually about the technology, but about the culture of Bitcoin maximalism. And right, the Bitcoiners want hyper Bitcoinization. It seems like they've kind of been like turning them away. Where in retrospect, now you look at the crypto art movement, and it might end up being like hyper Pepeization, because Rare Pepe is just like, it's the first, essentially I call Rare Pepe like the first derivative, because Rare Pepe is, as you look here, it's a derivative of WWE and sneakers and Jay-Z and so on and so forth. Have you had this discussion or thought about the kind of like toxic underneath culture of Bitcoin, and how it may prevent people from using Bitcoin as their creative sourcing outlet because of the toxic culture, even though the counterparty community is the complete opposite?
Yeah, so as we are used to it, like, I mean, Bitcoiners for the most part have not liked Rare Pepe artists or counterparty stuff for forever. Like Greg Maxwell is a notorious like hater on Reddit about counterparty. I don't know if he's changed his mind or anything, but that was like 2015. It doesn't matter. I guess that's what's great about Bitcoin, is like you don't have to agree with everybody. I mean, it's a it's an open source, decentralized community. Anybody can do whatever they want to it. I mean, I don't really know what else to say about it. There's things I don't like about certain things, and it doesn't stop me. So, I mean, I guess that's what's different about Bitcoin, is like you can have a bunch of people that don't care for each other, or care about the same ideas, I should say, and still, works itself out. It's a shame that Bitcoiners didn't, acknowledge it as much. And I say Bitcoiners, I mean, a lot of Bitcoiners did and do, but the ones that don't, but it's I get it too. It's like they just don't get what we're doing either. They don't get the aspect of, you know, the provenance and time stamping, and they get really tied up in the literal meanings of things, I think, sometimes, and what you can actually do. You can use an oven instead of a microwave to cook that food type arguments, and um, it just kind of is what it is. Um, I'm fine with it though, and I'm fine with Bitcoin and XCP, especially being kind of like the underdog of crypto art. I come from like an underground, like, you know, hip hop and influences and all that, and my life has always kind of been more like underground and, you know, on the edge, I guess. Um, so I'm used to it, and I think that that's why I kind of enjoy this space. I'm not really looking for it to go like super mainstream, and I think it's better that way. I think you don't need to do everything on XCP. There's some great stuff you could do over there on Ethereum and Tezos and everything too. Long lasting and all that stuff. Like that's when I ask myself, like when I'm minting something, especially the last year, like when XCP kind of came back for a while, like XCP wasn't doing much, and I minted some stuff, but you know, you look at super rare, like a lot of my mints in like 2020 were on super rare because that was like the hot spot to be. Even 2021, um, early part of it, especially, I was minting a lot more over there. And I asked myself, like, where is this going to be at in 100 years or 50 years or whatever? And I think that's why I'm more prone to, especially for like memes and that type of like art, collectible art like that. I think it like belongs more on Bitcoin. You know, the style I have on super rare is a little different. It's kind of like less derivative and more like my own um, ideas, I guess. Like, I don't want to say ideas because it's all my ideas, but
No, yeah, that yeah, this artwork here it's quite expressive, and you can see the musical and producer like background. You can see some kind of like hip hop accents in this work. It's quite unique, but so since you've been producing on super rare, but your involvement is forever tied to rare pepes, do you ever feel like you're boxed in as an artist because of you being so heavily tied and influenced to rare pepes and now fake rares that it's hard for you to break out of that mold? Do you ever find like boxed in or creatively I guess, yeah, creatively like constructed to build outside of rare pepe?
No, not at all. I've been building a lot more in fake rares the past year because that's where it's a full-time job. I mean, it's literally everything I've been doing. But I mean, I've got several mints in the last like few months on super rare. I I mean, see, I came up in music. I was a hip hop producer and DJ for 20 years. You know, I had a record. I had 3 records out last year, like the Pirates Picasso and um, the Uncle John and Rome Streets albums. I mean, they got around 30 million plays last year. Like, I'm not like some people would that listen to me over there don't even know about Pepe. So like, I'm kind of stuck in a few different worlds, I think, and it's an interesting thing. I don't know. Like, you know, some people know me only for Bitcoin music. Some people only know me for as a hip hop producer. Some people only know me as Pepe's. So I think in crypto art specifically, I'm definitely getting more boxed into Pepe's, which I mean, it's fine. Like, I definitely blow that horn. It is kind of like the hot thing right now. It is kind of my career choice where I'm kind of running with right now. I do believe that. I think, like, I don't know. I have a bigger, like, maybe than some anyway, a bigger like view of what Pepe's is going to be in like the books of like art history and the internet and crypto art and stuff. And I really think, I'm kind of in a new unique position. A lot of us early guys, or even the people that are doing super or fake rares right now, like I think we could like, write our way into some history books by doing this stuff. And it's not why I do it, but it is part of like preserving memes and being like kind of like making like the zeitgeist of like crypto art and the culture of cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin. Like I really enjoy kind of being a part of that. And I've made a whole album on Bitcoin, music album called Sound Money. And same thing, like if you listen to it or you watch the videos of it, it's it's an album, and it's like a musical album that you can tell if you listen to my stuff, like probably that I produce. It's raw and gritty drums and samples and all that stuff. But then you have kind of like it's like memed out a lot, like the vocal samples and stuff I took is still like audio memes, and I just kind of enjoy that.
Yeah, I've pulled it up, and I'm not gonna play it, but you can see that the cover is definitely expressed as the meme artist Rare Scrilla is. And for those who don't know, you actually created DJ Pepe, which was the first, you call it music token, or one of the first ones. Just talking about this piece specifically, you can see the floor right here is it's about 18 grand at the time of this recording. When you created it, were you aware that there hadn't been any other attempts at music tokenization? And during the creation of it, how tough was it to actually put this all together?
I can't remember like when we were making it. So like when we first started making it, it was actually, so I'll tell a story, I guess. Sean Leary, one of the Rare Pepe scientists, created Biggie Pepe in a series earlier and asked me to do the music for it. And we were going to make it, quote unquote, the first musical Pepe, or, musical collectible, blah, blah. And the way he wanted to do it was with the QR code. I had made the music for it and everything. We submitted it to the scientist. He was an actual scientist, and he still got rejected because the rule was apparently that you couldn't have QR codes on the front of the cards, because later on you could switch the link to make it something like, not cool. And so, the DJ Pepe, I was in the Telegram group a lot of times sharing music and talking music. Um, Joe Looney was another one. Like we were kind of always back and forth talking music, and a few others. And I was definitely like, that was my career at the time. And I was like, well, I need to make a DJ Pepe. And I made like the DJ Pepe, MC Pepe, B-Boy Pepe, and Pepe One, the graffiti Pepe, all within like 48 hours of each other. And they came out consecutively in the series 4 set. And it's the 4 elements of hip hop. So DJing is like the first element. And immediately I wanted to attach music to it. So it took about, I don't know, man, probably around like 2 weeks or so before we finally, like, I released it, and then we got everything set up where the bonus content was in the Rare Pepe wallet. Me and Joe Looney, like, he was like the technical guy on it, and I was going back and forth with him, like, could I use Bandcamp? Could I use YouTube? And we finally settled on SoundCloud, and I like found a way to kind of hack it by using a private page on there, and then he made it so you could get this like obfuscated link that changed and everything, and that was it. The DJ Pepe like was like kind of like a cool card, even like during like the week or two that we were working on putting the music player together. Like people still liked it, but once the music kind of came out, it kind of like grew like a little bit more life to it, and then um, I was updating the playlist a lot, and even back then though, like you didn't sell out of your cards, like there wasn't that many collectors and creators. Like I gave away, I think so. First of all, when I first sold it, I sold it for 0.75 XCP each, like the first like 10, I think. Like you can see on a dispenser, like it's like $2 a pop or something. and I gave them away like all the time. Like DJ Pepe's whole stick was like for the ladies. So like anytime I was at like a crypto conference or an event, I was doing meetups back then. I was always like trying to give them to like women and crypto. It's kind of like a thing, like the alpha DJ Pepe type thing. And like I gave it to everybody, but that was like a thing. I was like always trying to do that. And I did find that like, I met my wife through DJ Pepe pretty much, like through Pepe's in general. She actually was rocking on Telegram. She was rocking a logo that I made for Rare Pepe Wallet on her profile picture, and like we connected through that. And then so it's kind of bizarre, but like DJ Pepe literally like it became a meme that like came true. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's not like I've always found like that the women of crypto always like gravitated towards Pepe's, like for whatever reason they a lot of them think Pepe's cool, and so it just became kind of a thing.
How unique and how amazing. Literally right on the cover, it says 100% steals your girl. I think everyone kind of just has a little bit of a Pepe inside of them, and that's kind of like one of the main underpinnings of the fake rare movement and the rare Pepes and whatever it does become in the future. Where we currently sit today, both rare and fake rare Pepes and fake rares are mostly art and experimenting in crypto art. Do you think rare Pepes will ever be, or the Pepe movement will move into any form of utility as you move from Bitcoin NFTs to Ethereum? Obviously, there's a lot more hype and there's a lot more technical prowess, or there's a lot more a movement to push the boundaries of what technology and tokenization can do together. Do you think the Pepe movement ever moves into that field, or do you think that
I
it
think
just
I think
remains?
that the Pepe movement started that field 100%. Like literally. So first of all, I'll talk about it in a second, but utility doesn't is secondary in all this stuff, in my view. So I'll say that first. But early on, we didn't know that. We didn't know. We thought that we had to make a game with these. We thought you're making these cards, like how Spells of Genesis was working on a game, and they were for the game. The same thing, like Rare Pepe Party was a game, and this was all going to be in a game, and everybody was working towards a game. Until after like a year or so, we figured out like the game is that we're collecting these cards and having fun, and it's just like baseball cards, or how I have, I have 10,000 records in my studio here, and I listen to like 1% of them. Like I don't go through and listen to most of them anymore. They all have like a special meaning to me for the most part, and so that's one. And then two is, so we were working. So before we knew that about kind of what we were doing, we were looking for utility all day, like like the music token stuff. After DJ Pepe, like another like 10 or 15 cards came and put bonus content in. They had the podcast for John Seth and Chris's podcast, and one of the cards, another bonus content. They did the I think Gus Griselda was the first one to do the T-shirt. There was two cards. You buy one, you get a Pepe T-shirt. You burn it, and then you get another card. We had the game, the in-browser game that John Villar made, where it's a space bar game. You jump like one of those Google home pages called Pepe Ball. You had there's a bunch of stuff. What else? You had the Bitcoin, the Pepe meetup in Brooklyn. You got the card, like go there. The utility was go to the meetup, you get the card. God, there's a bunch of stuff. Like we were always, that was like the main thing we were talking about, because we were, utility wasn't new to that, to like XCP. Like that's kind of like Adam Levine and them were doing with like LTB and all that stuff. But it was new to like this type of atmosphere. It was like crypto collectibles, it wasn't like a coin that you got. Like I think LTB was, you wrote an article or you did content for the website, and then you got paid in LTB, and then the LTB coin you go cash out on Poloniex. This was, you collect these cards and then you got something, or you burn you burn this and you get that, and you every day we were burning Pepe cash to like, for Lord Keck and stuff like. So like Pepe Cash had before every auction, first of all, like a whole bunch of Pepe Cash got burnt. Um, People were burning cards all the time and like to like meme out like to pay homage to like Lord Keck and not the Lord Keck card necessarily, like just the Lord Keck like as like the idea of what Pepe's overruler was, especially at that time. Um, you had Christian Mandel's made the geocaching app called Takara. Like we were the ones using that. No, like he probably wanted other people to use it. I think at the time, like I don't think he was big into Pepe's at the time. We were the ones using it, and he was like, "Oh, what the fuck? There's so many Pepe's." Like people were dropping Nakamoto cards, and like I remember, I might be embellishing this a little bit, but the way I tell it is that somebody literally did take a plane to get this Nakamoto. They took a flight, and I like to say that the card was dropped in the ocean. Like it was definitely not on land, and somebody had to take a boat. And I usually tell it's like 26 miles to go on the boat to get it, but I might be embellishing that a little bit. But kind of part of the lore. Like people literally would go out and do that. Like we had a guy named Glenn Lopes in the chat who lived in India, and like we would always like drop cards in India, and he would go on scavenger hunts to find them. And I mean, I don't know what kind of utility that is, but it helped pay his utility bills. You know what I'm saying? So like,
yeah, it's
so yeah. But to answer your question in general, like I don't think that's the main thing. I think with fake rares, we've moved a little bit past that, where there's some people have made some utility cards. Like there's a really cool one coming out next week that is attached to a comic book. So if you have the card, you get a comic book and all this stuff. And there's been a bunch of utility style tokens for sure, but we always tell people like never like promise that that's happening. It's basically like you collect the card and all of a sudden shit happens. Like that's more or less like the realm we want to be in. We don't want to be making securities and get into all that weird stuff that is going to bring like attention towards us. Like it's more like we just want to keep it at the art at the basic level, and anything extra is a bonus. And you kind of start learning like what are the creators that are giving you extra, if they are like everybody pretty much airdrops sub assets to their holders, which isn't a thing on Ethereum or Tezos, which is a whole different category of stuff. So you get sub assets all the time, which is just more art and stuff like that,
Yeah, the sub assets it's quite unique. I just learned about it recently with I think Xe Pinata has been working on some of his different projects, which is pretty cool. But over on Ethereum, they obviously have airdrops, which kind of goes into this piece that you posted today. Actually, I was looking at it right before this interview, and I was like, wow, what a perfect commemorative card of over the last year, which it's Jimmy Fallon and Paris Hilton turned into Pepe from that infamous Jimmy Fallon episode where they're holding their bored apes, and talks about just kind of the cringe is the whole idea behind it. What is your opinion on Ethereum NFTs? I mean, I know you own Ethereum NFTs. I have your collection pulled up here. So you own about 200 from the other chain. But this kind of captures the recent explosion of NFTs that are kind of built off like branding and marketing and publicity more than anything.
If you look at my Ethereum NFTs, you could tell I don't collect like those type of NFTs. Like, I collect more like art stuff or like that I think, yeah, pretty much it. Like the PFPs I have are Matt Cain's Gazers, which are like way more than PFPs. You know what I mean? Like living art. Stella's PFP, like crypto artists that matter. I collect them. I got the RAC, one of his like first music tokens there.
Yeah, what's your opinion on the recent explosion and the overhyping and the marketers and VCs and kind of everything that the Pepe community's been trying to prevent happening or stay away from?
I don't like it. I
has
don't
now
like
been
it.
overshadowed. Yeah.
I don't like it because it's just short-term thinking. I'm sorry, man. Look, I don't really care. Look, Bored Apes is stupid to me. It's like really dumb. It's always been dumb. It's fine that when you minted them for like 0.07 or whatever and you made money, I'm happy for everybody on that. But to think like that's like going to be the thing, and Yuga Labs can force memes and do like it's a forced meme by VCs. You can't keep dangling the carrot in front of people and getting more hype. It's going to run out. Like I think we're seeing the fuel kind of run out, at least on the Bored Apes right now. I'm not into it at all. I'm really into like Dark Farms right here. You see, like Dark Farms is an organic artist that just creates dope shit and kind of built his movement off of that. Norman Comics, another one on the left there. Like I have tons of Norman Comic stuff on Ethereum and XCP. He's one of like the hottest artists there is in on the XCP side of things, at least. I just like Matt Kane, for instance, who's talked about there, like he's like a real crypto artist to me. Like he uses the blockchain. He makes like to me, that's the best art blocks project there is, period. There's not a better one. Some of the stuff like Ringers and Dimitri stuff and all that is dope too. The squiggles are, obviously I got a squiggle. I think that's a day 2 squiggle. I minted day 2. Didn't know what the hell I was doing when I minted that. I feel like I'm wasting my money. I didn't know they even moved or anything. But somebody was like, yo, you should go mint one of these squiggles. I minted a couple of them and whatever, I got a Hackatow Crypto Kitty. Like, I don't even really like Crypto Kitties that much, but Hackatow is like, another one that's a legend in the game. You got Coldy. So I collect the things I think that that I can. You can't collect everything. And yeah, I don't know.
No, it's the reason why I bring it up is PFP's definitely onboarded the non-crypto natives to become crypto natives, but then it brought a lot of the commercialization, and obviously when commercialization happens, the culture is lost because there's additional value, and it's sometimes it's tough to keep the integrity of the original movement. But I think like with the addition of fake rares, it's kind of like brought new light back to the original ethos of it. And now in a bear market too, a lot of the grifters tend to get washed away. And for those who've been in crypto multiple cycles, it's just routine, and it happens over and over again. So I think hopefully we can move past the PFP, whether it's your digital identity, but also PFPs are kind of unique to just this like 2D metaverse, right? Whenever we move into 3D metaverses, the PFPs kind of they either become voxelized or they become this like high definition, where then the backgrounds of the certain PFPs don't matter, and so there's whole new dynamics that come to it. So right now it's just inherently mostly just like a Twitter kind of thing. I also wanted to ask you while we're here about this area and why I'm interviewing you, called historical NFTs. And since you've been around literally since the birth, historical NFTs, I created this, and this was kind of like the explosion of started back in March of 2021 about the resurgence of all these like older NFTs, Mooncats, CryptoCats, Ethereum. Most of these are Ethereum denominated, but you see here with like Dadas, and there is some crossover. And I'm putting out, this just goes from February 2021 to August 2021. And most of these projects I rediscovered were from 2017. Ethereum goes back to 2015. And so I actually wrote like a little article about it as well. And so I'm going to do a few series of it, just called NFT Archaeology. But I went in here and I noted about how when this resurgence was happening last year, about all the Ethereums, all of the Bitcoin OGs were kind of like, right here, I pulled up one for Robness talking, this is March 2021, the resurgence of all these old NFTs being rediscovered was around the same time. All the counterparty OGs were talking about how rare pepes and spells of Genesis and Saratobi predated all of these, but it was kind of like everyone was in their own individual echo chamber, right? The Bitcoin people were kind of had their own community. The Ethereum people kind of had their own. And it wasn't until like later this year or even now we're kind of be able to bridge that entire history together, with all the archaeologists, whether it's cringe or not, creating all these different graphics over time to kind of like put together the entire history of the
I think that's helped a lot.
Yeah, and I was curious, from your opinion, do you think there is credibility to this like genre of historical NFTs or vintage NFTs? And how has yourself in the community kind of like responded to this like ongoing movement of NFT archaeology?
No, I think it's cool. I think some stuff is like, I was around during stuff 2016 and above, and like literally I was covering it on my podcast, and I remember like most of these things after 2016, and some of it is like, to me, is like, wasn't, really a thing. Some of it was a thing, 100%. Think going, when people kind of brought up the name coin stuff, it like really like triggered a lot of the community in an interesting way. And I think there's a lot of gray area, because I think like I don't appreciate the word NFT, to be honest with you. You can go back to 2018 where me and Cynthia on our podcast were always talking about it. It's the stupidest word to have this be the word that we're using. It comes from a financial background, not an art background, and that's kind of where the stuff went. It went financial, which is cool, and everybody wants to make money. But when we were doing it as like, more like art and collectibles and stuff like that. And we were having fun with like the prices and stuff like that for sure. But what we were doing for the most part wasn't NFTs. It was just FTs really. And you could go back, but with that said, now you can make any XCP coin an 1155 style NFT, because they all have like the knockout club and all that stuff. So it is kind of interesting in that regard. But all that does really is track like the chain of custody of the token, more or less. But like you could go back and like these like kind of ERC20 style coins, which are just like XCP in a lot of ways. They're not the same as like a 721. Namecoin was like more like writing something into the blockchain, and documenting that. So like the provenance, I think, is important with Namecoin and stuff like that. It is, and I don't know enough about Namecoin to comment on it, but I think like the Fockheads, I think were super interesting. Some of the other stuff was pretty interesting. Some of it to me wasn't interesting as well. I think some of it's a little bit of a reach. The quantum thing that happened, like with that whole situation, to me is very like cringe. It's for both sides. Like I just feel like yeah, it was minted and somebody else owns it. It disappeared for a while, and then somebody reminted it, like, and then it sells for that much money. Like, what are you buying? Are you buying the idea? Are you buying the actual provenance? I don't know. Like, so I actually made a super rare piece about that, because that was super intriguing to me at that time. You got coins that were dead, like from the beginning. You got coins that people didn't even, or like collectibles, some of them like people didn't even like at all. I'm not going to name names, but there's some that I remember, like we were all just like, oh man, what is this? Like, and then you see people like now, they big them up. It's like, oh, it's from this time and this was evolved and stuff. Like, so I'm not the dictator on that stuff. I have my own opinions on stuff. Like, I think like FD card and Satoshi card, even Ether card, the Doge card on those Spells of Genesis are like super cool. Some of the later Spells of Genesis cards, that's when it started to get a little cringe to me. like some of the ICO cards and stuff like
Mhm.
that. But I think like what they did, like Spells of Genesis, was like groundbreaking. Rare Pepe would probably wouldn't be what it is or even come out. Well, I think it probably still would have come out, but just wouldn't have been what it was because of Spells of Genesis. Because people were making rare Pepes rare without the blockchain prior to the blockchain. That was like the whole thing that made rare Pepes go into the blockchain a thing, was because there was a whole thing where people were trying to sell these things. eBay was blocking a $95,000 sale. You had people or like putting watermarks on their Pepes and saying this is rare, and it was only a natural thing for rare Pepes to kind of, I think, be that movement on the blockchain that got everybody excited. Like the stuff Christian Mandel and Koji and them were doing was, definitely like should be celebrated. I think like for sure, you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah,
So
there's a lot of unique projects, and when I started, my first NFT purchase was actually Mooncats. At the time, everyone thought it was the second oldest NFT. And my background, I actually owned an antique store in real life, so I kind of had this epiphany. And I'd been in crypto since 2016, but not into NFTs until that time. And to me, that was crazy, just seeing something be the second oldest NFT. And they had a lot of cool, innovative ideas that they brought to the table, but they weren't popular at the time, right? They only sold or minted 5,000 of 25,000. So now it's more of like a retro active, I guess you call a synopsis of the project, and then trying to ascribe value to it. And for some people, they think it's bullshit. Some other people find a lot of value in it. And I think we're still kind of in the thick of it, of determining which of these projects have value, which of these projects are going to actually have a community that comes or forms around them, and which ones are kind of just like things of the past, right? Like here on the screen, I have Bit Girls, which was a counterparty project from 2016. I think the show only lasted, from what I researched, like a month or two.
yeah,
Um,
it was a failure, like the experiment. It was great that they tried it, and I
mhm.
remember them doing it. Like I collected some Bit Girls. They're hard as hell to get. Um, but I think like because it was on Counterparty, they were trying to vote with it or something. Like I can't remember exactly, but I mean you might have wrote about it, but like then they tried voting in the audience or something using Counterparty. It just didn't work good or something.
Yeah, and so like these kind of things, the experimentation's cool, but are they actually valuable? Probably a lot of these will have some value, especially as tokenization of digital assets and real world assets kind of explodes, but not everything will. And
that like Dada, like that to me is like a great one.
mm,
Um, Even because again, like the things that existed pre-blockchain and they just use blockchain to like better their community, that gives a lot of credibility in my mind. Dada's one of them. Red Pepper's another one. You went to the Diecast one right there.
yeah.
I actually remember them announcing Diecast was coming out, and I bought the name Diecast on Counterparty before they did. So I own Diecast.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. The squatters exist
Yeah,
blockchain
I'm
or
pretty sure like that's what happened. I'll have to double check that actually. I'm pretty sure I own that asset. I remember thinking how sneaky I was.
Oh yeah, gotta love it. I actually I was hanging out with some friends in Vegas who had minted a bunch of counterparty names back in like 2014, 15, 16, and they're just waiting to sell them because they thought that, a counterparty would end up being kind of like what ENS names are today with the explosion, but there's still a lot of time to
That
tell.
that one you just passed, Memory Chain. That's one of my favorite. Period. Like there's a lot of rare Pepe artists from like Japan. It was a Japan only thing. They did really good job of documenting like current events at that time. Like I've been trying to collect that whole set for a while. Actually, I'm almost there, but I started collecting them from day one. Like they were always had an active community, and they were part of Book of Orbs, which was like the best mobile wallet, and that was taken down by Apple Store in like 2018 or
Mm.
19.
Yeah, so
Sorry, I
some
didn't
of
mean to cut you off there.
Oh, you're okay. No, I love hearing the stories because uh with counterparty assets, the community is the one who has to kind of reinforce the ideas and the stories, because the community is not as large. Whereas Ethereum, everything that happens now it's documented and criticized and on Twitter. And with a lot of these older assets, the story is what gives it a lot of value, and a lot of the stories are still unknown, and we still try to dig it out and kind of come to a decision of what is valuable and what's not, because obviously here with CryptoPunks, this is the most popular. Obviously they weren't the first, and we also know that they falsely claimed themselves as the first NFT for a long time, even though we know that they know. We're now aware that Larva Labs knew the entire time that they were not the first, right? Even at the Rare AF Festival, Pepes were there and Cure Cards and a few of them. So we're still trying to reverse a lot of things, and it doesn't take away from. I mean, they're obviously a status thing now, and revolutionize PFPs and stuff, but we can't just sweep that under the rug, because that's also an important piece of part of their rise.
Yeah, there's a lot you could say about CryptoPunks. I agree that you can't sweep them under the rug at all.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, they are like the first like financial NFT, I think, where like financial bros and crypto traders were getting involved in, like, you know, you know, there's a lot of things that happen with those things that made them pop off in a way that others didn't pop off, because people just weren't investing that money into them. I don't know. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, they definitely revolutionized the investing side of it, or the collecting and the trading, and there's a lot to say. But now I'm moving back over to the Fake Rares website, and now we kind of go. I'm gonna bring it back to kind of present day. For Series 9, it seems like it's launching. Is there a timetable for the release per series? And then is there even like a roadmap, or has there been discussion between people behind of like where the future may be about these, or how many series might be part of the overall collection? Are you guys just winging it traditionally?
No, we're not really winging it. We don't want to make any claims, and we don't want to have a roadmap. Like Rare Pepe, like literally Fake Rares is, you know, an unofficial second part, and even Fake Commons, really, Fake Rares and Fake Commons are the second part of the next story in Rare Pepe. So we try to, like, when it first started, I literally copy pasted the website from Fake Rares and just changed the lingo up a little bit from Rare Pepes to Fake Rares. The rules are pretty much similar. Like back then, in Series 4, they started making it so you can only do 100 to 100,000 Rare Pepe issuances. For ours, we did 21 to 10,000 is the amount of issuances. It's not easy for like somebody from the Ethereum side, I think, to come over and understand, like, if they're trying to like flip and make money and what's going on, because that's not what this is about. And I know it might sound like corny to some people, but literally we just have fun making Pepes and kind of distributing them. Like, some of these you can't even buy. Some of them you have to go to Wyoming. Like, you have to go to Wyoming and prove that Wyoming exists, because there's a meme that Wyoming doesn't exist. So if you want that card, you can't buy it. You know, you have to buy it from somebody that went to Wyoming and got it. There's, cards where, like, obviously that get distributed and they're all, there. But I mean, I'm trying to look here. It's like, this asset holding one, like, that's a card from 2015. Like, the actual token is from 2015, and they just put some art to it and redid it, and have a whole story about how that card came about. And he's distributing that through Scarcity and some other ways. There's no like proper distribution thing. You might distribute through pepe.wtf. You might distribute OTC. You might only distribute to like your family members. You might distribute through a gamified mechanism where you print out gift cards, which I think, Fake Rare Wallet, Rare Pepe Wallet are the only ones where you can print out a gift card of your NFT and basically make it like an open dime style where you go and then you got to sweep the key and stuff. And so you can like actually go hang up posters in the street or in the record shops or in the wherever, and like people can scan it and they can get the card that way. Um, a lot of these are music cards. Like you might see on like face value that's what it is, but a lot of these are actual, like we have, I mean, out of the 400 and some, that one's a painting right there, but out of the 400 and some, I think 420 cards are out right now. At least like 100 to 200 are like videos, like music videos and like shit like that. Like Series 4 is an entire set of music videos and audio tracks, because at that time before that, you couldn't do videos or music on XCP like really without any, like there was barely any of it. There's maybe like a handful of collectibles that were doing it, but our community was able to hack a way to use Free Wallet and Easy Asset and some other stuff to make these these music cards. So we actually put out a vinyl record that just dropped of all the musics. Like, we almost like a decentralized record label where if you go to Series 4, you'll see like we have Ghostface Killah, Ill Bill from Nonfiction. We got DJ Qbert in the set. Like we've done a lot of like cool stuff. And then the commons that you're looking at here, the commons are more like in line with the rare Pepes. Like you burn Pepe cash to get into the set. It costs like, right now it's around $20, like a anti-spam mechanism where you can't just release a whole bunch of cards in there. But there's no, like every week we drop a collection, and there could be like 3 cards or there could be like 1,000 cards depending on how many people submit that week. And there's like no curation other than it can't be, it's like old school rare Pepe. They can't be they have to be safe for work. So we're also putting up these collections. Like you see Vandal has all those graffiti ones he's doing. So we're making kind of collections within collections as well.
Yeah, gotta love the inception going on in the project. It's memes within memes within memes, and that's the whole point of this project. I think throughout this entire conversation, the point that you mentioned that after a year, the community realized that the utility is the game of collecting it within the community. It sounds so novel and trivial, and basic, but that's like a big statement and kind of the big power of this entire movement. And one last question I want to ask before we get out of here. Pepe.wtf seems to have kind of helped simplify rare Pepes and fake rares, right? Because when you go into a rare Pepe, it's 1,774 different tokens, and everything has a different supply and memes, and it's you don't know who the artists are, and it's been quite it was quite tough to navigate for myself when I started collecting them last year until this came out. And now it makes it easier, especially with drops and then fake rares. And I know this was funded partly by Vincent Van Doe, who became like a big Rare Pepe community member. So how much of an impact do you think this website and maybe Vincent Van Doe's contributions and some of the other people who've helped build this has been for the growth of the movement?
It's been really good. I mean, Van Doe is like an excellent resource. He's he's all in on Pepe's. He's like a great collector. Everybody knows him. So having him like on our side is definitely favorable, of course. I think that pepe.wtf is a great resource for people to do history. There's a lot of stuff still not built out on pepe.wtf. Like you're going to have like stories about each card, and you're going to have like interviews from artists, and a lot more lore kind of is coming to that site. That's cool. A little bit more like the guy Al Fernandez that does the dev work for it. He's building out a lot of stuff for this, like in terms of analytics and stuff. You got the Rare Pepe. You see the Nakamoto collection. Like you could do PFPs with your Rare Pepe now. You know, Joe Looney's part of the whole thing now. He's like the godfather of the Rare Pepe wallet. So it's cool having him on. Yeah, everything those guys are doing for the Pepe ecosystem is great. They're bringing a lot of eyes on. You know, Series 8, like you were saying earlier in the show, like, you know, we've already had like tons of like big contemporary artists like come through fakes before Series 8. But Series 8 was just like a nonstop barrage. Every 2 days or every day, there was 2 cards released for for a month straight. And I think that really brought a lot of eyes on what we were doing, because like you brought a lot of different communities with eyes on like what fake rares was and what Rare Pepes was. I think the main thing kind of like to take away if like you're trying to collect Rare Pepes and fake rares is that it's not like anywhere else, because it's a directory. Like we're literally just trying to like put these things in a place where you can collect them. Like there's tons of like quote unquote fake rares where they're just random Pepes that are out there. But the dank rares, the fake commons, the fake rares, those are directories where people can kind of like, people want to get in there, and some of them are harder to get into than others. And it just kind of become like that kind of like tiered system for the Pepes. And some of them, you know, they serve a different purpose, I think. And the artists are the ones that distribute the cards. Like if you want a card, you go to the artist. You don't have to go to a mint site or anything like that. And it's just a different way, I think, and a different culture of how they're distributed. Like I totally get it because it's like how I came up. But I get like the Ethereum side, like they use like whitelist now, and you know this stuff. You know, go to a minting page and like be quick and get it. And some of that stuff is coming to this side because you see on like the drops, like people are dropping like big cards, and there's only like 100 issuance, and everybody kind of clamors to get one. But that's only a partial look into like what fake rares is. Like there's a lot bigger things happening. And another thing that we are doing in fake rares is we've done a lot of galleries, and we have a lot more galleries planned. We have a museum actually that one of our fake rares community members, Fabian, has put together in Switzerland that we're helping him like kind of like get stuff together for. And so that's a 3-month exhibition in a government funded museum in like, you know, Switzerland, like where Pepe is going to be a huge part of that. We've got Miami Art Basel, you know, Miami, whatever Art Week coming up that will have a gallery down there. We did the New York gallery. We've done a different Art Basel. We did Art Basel in Switzerland this summer. We did, you know, the Miami during the Bitcoin conference. We had a big gallery. So we're trying to kind of like bring and tie a lot of these like quote unquote NFTs, these collectibles, these Pepes into like the actual artwork too, into like, you know, I guess kind of like the in real life world as well as like the digital world. Because I think Pepe has a place as a medium, as a canvas in this time period that I think the biggest artists in the world are going to be using Pepe at some level at some point. And when people go back, they're like, oh yeah, this is his Pepe. This is his version of the Pepe. Like, because at the end of the day, Pepe is used because it's so easy to make a Pepe. It's 2 bumps, 2 eyes, and some lips. Like you could do whatever past that. You can like make it just take the color scheme like we saw with modern Pepe, and you could do a bunch of other stuff with it. But at the end of the day, making a Pepe is super easy. So I think that's why people gravitate to it. And it's also like the expression on a Pepe between the eyes and the mouth, you can kind of do anything with it. And it just became this like, you know, the digital meme, and it's memes, we're in an age of like, you know, a new age of hieroglyphics where we speak in acronyms like, you know, GM, like that's a perfect example. Like we say GM because where everybody's too busy to type out good morning and shit. Like say GM and put a, you know, a piece of crypto art on the Twitter, and that's how we speak now. Like, and that's like, you know, I have kids and I see how him and his friends interact. It's more like we're using memes. Memes proliferate ideas faster than anything. I mean, you could have somebody make a meme right now in Australia, and me and you could get it, and a second later, understand it, and then within seconds, it could be shared a billion times. Like if it's like Elon Musk sharing a meme or an idea or something, right? It's like we've kind of like moved to this area where like the internet and the metaverse, the 2D metaverse especially, is a stage, and we're all on the stage participating in some way. We all have the stage, and I think that we're using these hieroglyphics and pepes, and you could say wojaks and doges and stuff. Like these are like the instruments of our speech in the digital age right now in a lot of ways. Like we're just at the beginning, I think, and I think it's gonna only go more in that direction.
Yeah.
You know, like I can know about you by looking at your crypto wallet. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't know about you otherwise, like without the internet. And it's like different things going on here, like that. All these intersections of money and government and technology and kind of a new way of thought, like the age of Aquarius type thing, like all like happening on like a big meta level, where I think we're kind of we're in the trenches right now, I think, and like change for like the whole world. And I think Pepe is playing a part of that. And I think that's what a lot of people's belief is. And whether they even believe it to that meta level that I'm describing, there's something that's sticking, because anybody that comes in the Pepe community, they don't leave. Like they go down the rabbit hole more. And it's not necessarily about you going and collecting and buying all the Pepes. It's more like, you're like, what the fuck is this over here? I thought everything was over here, but it's like there's this other whole like subculture, and like I kind of say like we're like the 5%ers of crypto art. It's like we're like embedded in the culture more. I think like we use the blockchain. When you do XCP, and I'm not saying XCP is the end all of everything. Trust me, like I'm not saying that, but it's a different thing. When you use XCP, you learn to sign a Bitcoin message. You learn like a lot more than just like simply downloading a MetaMask, minting, or collecting and putting in your OpenSea. And you don't interact with the blockchain much. You have to use the blockchain when you're going on XCP, and you kind of like when you learn something, and like when you're a mechanic and you learn the inner workings of a car, you know more about cars. So like when you go and use XCP and you learn about the inner workings about blockchain, I think it helps you even become like a better, you know, whatever you're doing, trader, crypto artist, blockchainer, like in this spirit, just by like knowing it. And like that's true with everything. Like, you got to go to Tezos, you got to go, you know, you got to try them all out and see like there's different things that can happen, and that kind of makes you better, I think. But XCP especially, you like really dig in, I think, when you use XCP, and the idea of Bitcoin being this uncensorable, unconfiscatable thing, and having like the memes, which are ideas, which should not be able to be ideas. Should, if you believe in freedom, which Bitcoin to me is freedom, then you shouldn't be able to have your ideas censored, really. Like, and that's kind of why I think like memes belong on Bitcoin more than anything, because you can go on OpenSea, and I have tons of NFTs that you can't view on OpenSea or even super rare, because somebody was like, man, you can't do that, at least thus far, on Bitcoin and XCP. And you know, that's the interesting thing if it does happen, because if it does start getting censored, then you know, I'm going to lose a lot of faith, because like I think that that's part of like the main thing that I'm attracted to about using XCP and Bitcoin is like the provenance, the idea that Bitcoin, I believe, will be the longest running, most robust chain forever. Like it will outlast any other chain probably. And the idea that, you know, you can put anything associated, like you're not putting it on the blockchain. Very few things are on the blockchain, as you know, but you're time stamping it in provenance. Like that's the main thing for like some people's main thing is royalties. And I think royalties are great when you're over there and over here. But for XCP, the royalties are you holding back a percentage of your cards to, if they grow bigger, then you can sell them into the market. The main thing for me though is provenance and like the timestamp of your ideas and what you're doing. Like that's what I'm more drawn to personally.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of people say, you know, the token is the art. From my perspective, I like to say the timestamp is the art, and the idea of provenance is very important to collectors, to meme artists, to anyone who's trying to further push the boundaries of their own career or create a more frictionless process to their existing business of whatever it is that you mentioned before. Yeah, we're now in this period where you say the internet kind of brought the convergence of like technology and finance, and now the blockchain has brought the convergence of technology, finance, and culture. And so now, and then within that, all these different subcultures and monetizations and markets to things that haven't exist. And we are, like you said, in the trenches moving forward. And so we get to have these conversations and understand the differences and help each other be better and not become maximalists, so that we can further spread the idea of Pepe, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and whatever comes next. So Rare Scrilla, I really appreciate you for doing this. It's an honor to have this conversation with the OG himself. Big fan of Rare Pepe. I haven't bought any fake rares yet, but I'm making my way down there. And Series 8 of fake rares, I think, is going to be a very legendary moment, not just for fake rares, but for Pepe moving forward. So thank you for doing that and for coming on.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Good talking to Jake. And again, good luck on the rest of your digging into NFT archaeology, and definitely come over to Fake Rares and I'll send you a fake coat, man.
I would love that.
Give me your fake rare address. I got you.
Yeah, I appreciate it, brother. And thank you guys for listening and watching. We'll catch you next time.